Hey everybody, Chrissy here with Make a Living Acting Anywhere. This is where I teach people who are aspiring actors, returning actors, or would-be actors how to make a living acting right where you are without having to leave your home or your community to go and do that. And this series is how to get started as an actor without having to pay for training. And the reason that I'm doing this series is because a lot of people just don't have the money to do the training. And I want you to know that you can train yourself. All it takes is a little willpower, drive, and self-sufficiency. The first tip today, if you haven't watched this series before, the idea behind this series is that you do the 3 things that I recommend for the entire week until you see the next video. They are released every Wednesday, and that means by the time you stumble upon these videos that they are already out, which means you may want to binge watch them, which is totally fine, but then I recommend you go back and rewatch the first one and do the 3 things that I recommend for at least a week. Maybe do them for a week, come back to this video, do this video for a week, and so on and so forth until you kind of have a flow or a feel for all the things that you're going to be working on, and then go back and do it all over again, but maybe extend it into the longer period of time. Particularly if you have, if you're needing to save money to get somewhere, or, whatever the case may be, these are going to be so valuable to you to do. If this is your first time here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can be alerted every time I release a new video. And if you're getting crazy value from these, please, please, please share them with anybody who you think might also get value from them. Okay, now without further ado, the first tip, except for it's the 4th tip in this series, is to practice the moment before. This applies in theater and film and television and voiceover. It also, interestingly, applies to writing. That's a whole other series. You want to come in the middle of a life that's happening. So the moment before, whether you're on camera or in theater, it's wildly important that you know exactly what just happened. You have to create the context of the world in which you're living in and bring it into that scene with you. So if you're just starting with a line like, "No, I already did that," then you want to know the thing that happened before that. And so that's an easy kind of a line where you can come up with a million things, but you really just find it in the context of the script. If it's there, right? It's going to probably be there. But if it's not, then it's important that you create it. So a lot of times you're going to go into an audition and all you have is a little script, particularly if this is a new work. Now, if you are going into an audition that has a play that's out there that you can read the entire thing, or a script that's out there where you can read the entire thing, I recommend you do that. And I don't recommend it. I mean, I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to read the entire script, because then you'll know the world of the character that you're auditioning with, and you'll know the character of the people around you who you might be speaking to, and you'll understand time, place, situation, and all the things that you need to come into that audition with the moment before. And any acting, right? Now, how can you do this? Like you might be sitting there thinking, well, why would I practice this when I don't have an audition, or how can I practice this? Because again, once your muscle is rehearsed and worked out, you get stronger and stronger and stronger. So the more you can create the world in which you're living in by practicing with many, many different characters, you come into that moment before in a regular audition, even locally in community theater, it's going to help you, right? So tip number 2 is just remembering where you are on Earth. Where are you? Are you in your house? Are you at somebody's party? Are you sitting in an interview? In a bus, an airplane, lost on an island? Where are you? Because once you can create the world in which you're in, it informs you on how you're going to behave there. So, for example, I'm sitting in my office at home. I'm relatively comfortable. Things are a little chillier than typical because it's late spring. No, it's not. It's early spring. Anyway, and it's there's a feeling that comes with me just being at home. When I go to the doctor's office, for example, even though I feel pretty relaxed wherever I am in the world, it just kind of comes with age and confidence, I still am a little different. I'm quieter. I'm more reserved. Maybe I'm considering what's going to happen in my appointment. If I'm on an airplane, my body's a little stiffer because I'm squished a little bit. You know what I mean? So just understand the world around you. Again, you get that from reading. Oh my goodness, you can go back to my last video, talk about reading. Reading. And now this is an interesting one because a lot of you won't exactly know what this is, but it's self-tape. Your self-taping is something you should be practicing. Why would you practice self-taping? Well, because there's a lot of auditions out there where you can self-tape and submit as you're practicing and rehearsing and teaching yourself the business of acting while also listening to my videos. And if you can do that well, if you can do that properly, you'll stand out above a lot of the other actors who are trying to get in but have never done this properly. And so that doesn't take much. You can watch a whole series on that on my channel about how to, set up your self-tape and see examples that I put out there. But generally, your self-tape needs to look professional because if you submit an audition tape in this day and age where the technology is so easy to use and affordable, somebody might look at it and be like, you didn't care enough to make a nice self-tape. And that means it reflects on your other work. So they might think, well, if you didn't care enough to do that, you probably don't care enough to come on time. Make sure your lines are memorized. Make sure you know the moment before, the world you're living in, and having done any preparation. And so, yes, it's important that you understand how to make a self-tape. So, like right now, this is not a self-tape, but there are some key things in it that help you to see how, you would be framed. So for example, a self-tape, I would be about this height from in the camera where I'm centered up. You want to be about just around your, just under your shoulders here at your armpits. And so you've got head and shoulders up here. You want to know where your sight lines are. So if you're speaking to somebody, you just want to be off camera like this. And yes, you're very likely to be speaking to somebody unless they've specifically asked you for a monologue. And if you are speaking to somebody, make sure you actually have a human being there. And the background has to be clear. So everything you're seeing in my background is not going to be in your self-tape. And why? Because it's distracting. People are going to be looking around you like, who's in that picture over there? And what book is she reading over there? You can say, I've got Stephen King. That's all Stephen King. That is obviously my channel because I'm working on it right now. So your self-tape, you should have like a blue screen, a dark screen. Make sure you're well lit. My lighting is natural sunlight, and there's enough surrounding me so it doesn't create any shadows, but you'll want to get lighting behind there. I recommend you specifically watch videos on the self-tape. Okay, so those were 3 more tips on how to make a living acting wherever you are without having to fund any money. If you have some money to get training on the business of acting, I recommend Wendy Alane Wright at Hollywood Winners Wright at Hollywood Winners Circle. She is phenomenal and she does a great job. Okay, you guys, I hope that you go out into the world and